Hey, mamas. Welcome back to another awesome episode of the Mama Work It podcast. So glad that you're here, that you're joining us. My name is Marissa Lonick. I am your host, working mama of 4 kiddos. And if you're new in town, Mama Work It is all about supporting women in the juggle of mom life, work life, wife life, fill in the blank life. And today we are talking with a very special guest. Her name is Stefanie Adler. She is a certified nutrition consultant, functional diagnostic nutritionist, and women's hormone and fertility expert. Stefanie is also the host of the Wisdom of the Womb podcast and has been featured in publications like the New York Post for her science-backed nutrition advice. As a passionate advocate for women's health and wellness, Stefanie is not afraid to go against the grain and challenge mainstream beliefs about what's possible for her clients. Her mission is simple yet powerful: to inspire women to work with their bodies, to unlock their innate wisdom, heal naturally, and break away from the limiting narratives of conventional medicine. Through her private nutrition coaching and course, Stefanie has transformed the lives of hundreds of clients worldwide across all stages of life. She is an expert at helping women overcome chronic conditions like gut issues, hormonal imbalances, unexplained infertility, and more. Stefanie takes an individualized approach, utilizing functional lab testing, cycle-based solutions, and encourages clients to trust their own bodies, allowing them to finally live the vibrant and beautiful lives they have been dreaming of. This is going to be such a good episode. I'm so excited you're here, Stefanie. Thank you for being a guest.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Marissa. I'm so excited, especially since, I've always been really passionate about supporting moms since I've worked in fertility for years, and like recognizing what comes with that postpartum and like life after getting pregnant is the point. And since becoming a mom myself, I just am so loving supporting this population. So thank you for having me.
Beautiful. Thank you for being here. Well, please, let's get started. Just tell us a little bit more about your specific journey as a mom, as a nutritionist, and how this all sort of came to be.
Yeah. So my like drive and desire to learn more about food and nutrition actually started when I was a kid myself. I had a lot of GI issues as a kid. My parents say that just even coming home from the hospital, I had issues with like colic and, gas and all of the things. And I really don't remember a time in my childhood where I didn't have stomach aches. And so around the time I was 12 or 13, I did some soul searching with my diet and just what was going on in my life my doctors were saying like it wouldn't help me at all. I had been in and out of GI doctors' offices for years, and they were like, your diet doesn't have anything to do with it. And within 3 months, I completely healed my body of symptoms I'd been having for almost 13 years. And so really became aware of that relationship between food as a catalyst for dis-ease in the body or medicine, right? And like for us to really heal. And again, it really impacted my childhood. And I could also see the way that my parents felt really helpless to help me. There wasn't a lot of information about this out back then. And so it's been really a passion of mine to support parents in being able to have the tools that they need to build healthier generations moving forward. I think about it from the perspective of the greatest gift we can give our children is the gift of health. And so like, what are we doing here if we're not trying to create generational wellness? So that's kind of, how the mom and nutritionist piece come together for me. And, I think it's especially important today. We know that 54% of kids have a chronic health condition. And like this has a lot to do with the way that we're feeding our kids, the environment we're in. And we're going to be talking about a lot of that today, I know.
Yes, 54%. Wow. I did not know that statistic. That is really crazy. Is that based in the US or worldwide?
Yeah, it's based in the US right now. The world is catching up, though. It used to be a particularly Western issue. And so when I say US, like US, Canada, some countries in Europe, but it is really catching up across the globe.
That's crazy. Yeah, I'm a big believer that food is medicine. I was just talking to my kids about this. We've gone through, winter season. We've gone through all the viruses, the flu, strep throat through the house. And yes, there have been medicines that they've had to take to heal, of course, from some of these infections, but we've also been kind of pairing those with the right nutritional foods and drinks. And that's definitely catalyzed their healing. I know it. So yeah, I love
Absolutely.
that. And I also really want to point out that you used the word dis-ease in reference to disease. And the first time I heard that, I was like, that makes so much sense, right? It's like your body is not at ease when you are experiencing disease. So I caught that and I want to point it out. I thought that was a really important thing that you mentioned.
Thanks, Marissa. Yeah. And, it's funny, like sitting here and listening to my own bio like that. And what I really want to do is also be like, okay, guys, also just to make this easier, the thing that I really do for people is I help them find the hidden blocks to balance in the body and then address those at the root so then you can live your full potential and like feel so good in your body. I mean, I have clients who are like, I'm so addicted to how good this feels, like there's no way I would ever go back. And so really
Mhm.
when I talk about dis-ease, like that really is that feeling that so many of us are sitting in all the time, and usually it doesn't take very much to spark the body into finding its way back to balance.
Yeah, I love that. It's simpler than we think, I think. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And when you're feeling your best, there's really nothing you can't do, is my mantra there. Like when you feel good, you do good. You're more productive, you have more energy, you're more motivated. Like you can move mountains. So,
Yeah.
all right. So, Stephanie, what are sort of the top things you recommend starting with if you're on the newer side to like wellness, nutrition, and as our audience is a busy mom trying to juggle all the things?
Yeah. I need everyone to hear me out because I feel like they're what I'm about to say for a lot of people is like, you don't get being a busy mom and then like hang up, but I promise I do. I get it. It's you have to take control over your own food. And, when we outsource our nutrition through takeout, through packaged, food, we are not only losing control over quality of ingredients, but in the context of today's world, we're also exposing ourselves to so many unknowing chemicals, toxins, and materials, just even like takeout containers, for example, are one of the highest sources of phthalates, which when we eat when we are pregnant can make our children infertile in the future. We now have studies that show like it's really just understanding, like it's not just, oh, like let's pick up food and, it's okay. Like there are so many components here. And so I really think the number one thing we can all do is take ownership over making our own meals. And I am happy to share some of my favorite easy, quick meals. Feel free to just send me a message on Instagram. I usually have I make custom meal plans for clients. I'll send you my favorite slow cooker meals. I love the slow cooker. If you guys don't have a good non-toxic slow cooker, it is going to change your life. Even just this morning, I spent 5 minutes before sitting here to come to work, putting some stuff in the slow cooker. When I log off today, I have 2 minutes of dinner prep to do. Seriously, just cutting up a little bit of garnish and then we're done. It can be so easy. So one, taking ownership over making your own meals, I really recommend to people have a rotation of like 10 meals that take less than 20 or 30 minutes of actual hands on time. You keep them in a file on your computer or you print them out and you make a little, cookbook for yourself and you rotate between those 10 meals until you feel ready to start adding on more. But it will completely change the course of your health, the course of your life, how you feel. It is the number one thing that you can absolutely do.
That is
And then the
such a good
second thing
tip.
I would say is just start paying attention to ingredients in general. So, quality of ingredients. Are the foods that you're purchasing organic? Are the foods that you're purchasing like, if you're buying packaged food, do they have ingredients that you could source for your own kitchen? If they have ingredients that you wouldn't even know how to use or know how to buy, then you probably shouldn't be eating them. And paying attention to just like what is in food. I mean, so often, when we're buying, prepackaged food, it's really not real food. It's filled with industrial seed oils, additives, chemicals, things like that. So there are brands that are doing better jobs. And so, like, really, if you're not ready to fully start, just like taking ownership over cooking, though I promise it's easier than you think, then really starting to pay attention to ingredient labels and making clear boundaries around what we purchase and what we don't.
So good. Yeah, I'm gonna hit you up for those slow cooker recipes. I feel like my slow cooker is underutilized here. I only have like two things I make in there, and I want to expand my slow cooker recipe uh, Rolodex. So you'll be
Happy to
hearing
share
from
them.
me. All right. How do we know? I'm curious, how do we know if our energy levels are like really where they should be at max capacity? And like, what small changes can we make to feel more energized throughout the day if we aren't at that optimal place?
Yeah. So, a couple questions that I want everyone to ask themselves that will help you determine whether your energy is where it should be. Because I think this could be really hard, especially if you haven't been feeling quote unquote your best or at your highest level of energy for sometimes years, right? And so like your range of normal is so skewed. So the first question is like, do you have the energy to do all the things you want to do? Right? Is there ever something that you're like, oh my God, I'd love to do that, but like, I'm too tired. I can't. Whether that's an exercise class, whether that's going out with your friends in the evening, whether that's watching a movie with your partner at night. Like, if you don't feel like you have capacity to do the things that we would consider normal in terms of like, should be able to do in a day, that's, the first red flag. But another one that I think can really surprise people is, can you get through the day without a 3 p.m. crash or slump? That afternoon, like, oh my God, like I need to reach for something sugary or I need another coffee, something like that can really be a sign that you are not producing adequate energy on a cellular level. Another one is, can you get through the day without caffeine? There's a difference between like, I really love the ritual of my morning coffee and like enjoy that versus if I don't have a cup of coffee, like I'm not going to be able to function. Or if I don't have several cups of coffee, I'm not going to be able to function. So all of those are red flags. And then the last one that I really like for moms, because this is something that I see when I'm working with clients a lot, that is one of their first signs of like, oh my God, like this is different, things are working, is, are you showing up in your relationships with your kids, with your husband, with other people who are close to you in the way that you want? Or are you snappy, impatient, and find yourself just kind of wearing like a persona that you're like, oh, like I don't like that I showed up that way. And that one I think is really critical because we so often just normalize like, "Meh," like the like feeling of like snappy or just like overtouched or whatever it is, that especially as moms, and recognizing that that is a sign that your body is sending you of like, hey, we don't have the capacity here to show up as the loving person, mother, wife, work person, whatever it is that we want to be.
Wow. Wow. I am reflecting on a lot of things that you're saying right now. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I would never have equated that to like an energy deficiency or a toxicity that my body is fighting. But I'm kind of like pleasantly surprised to hear that that's what it could be, because I also know we're going to talk about how to detox on the episode, and the way you're making cooking sound, I'm hoping it's as simple as the cooking capacity here. So I love that we have a solution to this as well.
Yeah. And when it comes to energy specifically, one of the things that is so overlooked is blood sugar balance. So, balancing your blood sugar is the foundation for all hormone systems, for all energy creation, for truly everything in the body. And when we talk about things being simple, the tip I'm going to give every single one of you, if you start following this, I assure you, you will start seeing changes in your energy, is balancing your blood sugar by eating. There's a couple little rules here, even if you can just check a few of them off, I think you'll notice a difference. Eating within an hour of waking up. I see this with moms all the time. They wake up, they shower, they're getting ready for work. They got to get the kids, lunch is packed, everything ready to go. But by the time they're eating something, let's call it a protein bar, or like snack, just shoveling food that's like off their kids' plates, it's been more than an hour of waking. When we eat within an hour of waking up, especially something with fat and protein, it starts to stabilize our blood sugar for the rest of the day. So breakfast really is the most important meal of the day. Again, I have some really, easy tips in terms of like things that you can make ahead of time. Like I love making these like carrot or apple like breakfast patties, like kind of like breakfast sausages that are like super easy. You just put them in the toaster oven while everyone's getting ready. Really good fat and protein to get early in the morning. And trying to get like approximately 30 grams of protein in the morning is really huge too. I mean, I see women under eating protein as an epidemic. Seriously. It's like we are so afraid of eating too much meat for some reason in our society right now, when it's actually the thing that, in my opinion, we need to be eating more of. So getting 30 grams of protein in the morning, getting at least some of that within an hour of waking will totally change the course of your day and your energy levels and your blood sugar.
Wow. Yeah, I think I fall into that epidemic of being an under protein eater. I definitely can see that. I don't think I'm fearful of it. I think it's just what I gravitate toward isn't always protein. So I should
Yeah.
really be more mindful of that. That's really good advice.
I would track it. And like a good rule of thumb, and again, sometimes it varies person to person, but is approximately however much you weigh in terms of pounds is how many grams of protein you should be aiming for in a day. So let's say, I weigh 130 pounds. I want to be getting approximately 130 grams of protein a day. Not all of that needs to be coming from animal based sources, but a lot of it should be the protein is the building blocks of all of our cells. So for our cells to function optimally, we need it. And sometimes if you're like finding that you're like a little bit averse to it or you just don't gravitate towards it as much, sometimes that can be a sign that either because of underuse or other stressors in your life that the enzyme production that happens in the body to help you break down those proteins is underperforming. And so it's taking, there are certain things you can do to help your body like break down that protein better, but protein is definitely harder to break down than carbohydrate. And so if we're like a little bit deficient in some of that enzyme activity, our body will naturally turn, away from it. But the more we start using it, it's kind of like you use it, you don't use it, you lose it, but the more
Right.
we start using it, the body is like, oh, okay, I like this, and starts to gravitate towards it more.
Totally. Makes sense. Yeah. There was a season I was tracking my protein. It was when my first pregnancy, I was pregnant with twins. I was really nervous and wanted to do like all the things right because I was a high risk pregnancy. And it's interesting you say that. I've never really known how much protein like a regular person should be eating during that season. I had read in some book that I should aim for 100 grams a day. That seems low based on what you're saying. But it was even a little bit of a challenge to hit 100 grams a day sometimes. So I would imagine if you're feeling this way listening, like when I heard that stat, I was like, okay, that might be a little tough, but even if you tried a little harder, it's better than what you're doing.
Totally. And I think, it can be hard when we're really getting in like the nitty gritty of the tracking. But a lot of times, like, depending on how like you shift the way that you think about food, it actually can be done relatively easily. And so one thing that I actually is often a surprise to people because I do want us getting that much protein is I actually am not a fan of protein powders and lean proteins in general. I think a mistake a lot of people make, and so I'm just sharing this so that if you decide you're like, okay, I'm going to start tracking my protein, that you don't make this mistake, is they lean towards the lean proteins because they're higher in protein. And so they're like, oh, I'm going to be getting more. But what happens if we're eating really lean protein or using protein powders, which are naturally really lean, is we strip our bodies of vitamin A and K, which are fat soluble nutrients and really important for everything in the body, but especially hormone production and fertility. And so even if you're done having kids, it's really important to have, good fertility. It's just a biomarker of health in our bodies and hormone production. And so, um, I would say like before you even just like start tracking your protein and just aiming for those high numbers, just see if like eating more animal based foods throughout the day, like for a snack, for example, instead of just like having an apple and peanut butter, like what if you had some like cheese and an apple, or what if you had like some leftovers that, like a few meatballs and, a little bit of the leftover, whatever you had on the side last night, and just like see if you can think about snacks as mini meals. And I think you'll find that you actually are able to hit that protein goal a lot more easily.
Great advice. Totally. All right. So I'm sure you hear this a lot in your industry. I hear it a lot just kind of being in the season I'm in of motherhood and just really leaning into some of these nutritional and holistic ways of living. But the term detoxing, right? It's a term we hear a lot, but I actually feel quite ignorant on this topic. Like I've heard little bits and pieces, and I think a lot of people do too. Like we don't really know how to actually do it. So, can you give us some concrete ways to really start the detoxing journey, whether that be for ourselves or our families in general?
Yeah. So the good news is that you're already doing it. Like our bodies are always detoxing. What actually oftentimes happens is that our drainage pathways or our detox system, so the ways that we get toxins out of the body due to the lifestyle of the modern go, 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 and, more like toxic lifestyles that we're in now in this, modern day and age, those detox systems get a little bit sluggish. And so the body will still be trying to do its detox, but then things start getting recycled through. So,
Mm.
what I actually really encourage people to do when they're thinking about detoxing is really focus on your detox systems and making sure that those are working well, that your drainage funnel, I'll kind of use them interchangeably because they're the same thing, is really nice and open. And then for the most part, for most people, the body is going to start, working a little bit more optimally and detox itself without you having to like get too in the nitty gritty of like, we have to do this big, deep detox. So a couple things that I look for when making sure that we're having that detox system open, really, and really able to do the work for us. The first one, it actually starts with the colon because that's the bottom of the detox funnel and like the main way that things get out is you need to make sure that you're having a bowel movement every 24 hours or less. Because if you're not, that's how most of our toxins are going to be excreted. And so then what ends up happening is they get recycled and then it puts a burden on the liver and we have to like do it all over again. So a really quick way, and this is a really fun thing to do with kids too, to figure out, well, like, how do I know if I'm having a bowel movement every 24 hours? Because you can still be pooping every day and be constipated. That's something people don't realize. Is with breakfast, swallow a tablespoon of sesame seeds in some water. Okay. So like you're eating breakfast, knock back some sesame seeds. Again, you can do it. Everyone in the family can do this. And then wait to see your sesame seeds in your poop. It's really high tech here. But you're seeing how long that transit time is. And I think a lot of people are going to be surprised because I have clients who poop every day. But when we do the sesame seeds test, it's 48 hours. And so we're seeing like, oh, things are moving a little bit slowly. And so then if you have that information, you're like, okay, things are moving a little bit slowly. That's the first place to start is we got to make sure that we're eliminating really well. So castor oil packs are great, bringing in more fiber, bringing in magnesium, bringing in just some tools to help us like keep things moving along can be really valuable. And going back to just the detox piece, by the way, and I have something I can share with you if anyone wants to download it. I have like a full ebook on drainage systems and detox. And so if people are feeling like, oh, I want more information on this, I break down all of the different systems and I'll share that with you. So anyone who wants to download it can do it. But the number one thing is that like make sure that you're having a regular bowel movement every day. And then another thing that it's really overlooked. And I'm not a practitioner who's just like, well, drink more water, it fixes everything. But the solution to pollution is dilution. Right. And so we do want to stay really hydrated. That will also help with colon function. That will help with every system in the body, just being able to flush a little bit easier. For adults, if you have access to a sauna, I love saunas because they like not only stimulate detox, but it's a way out of the body. Like we're sweating things off. Hot yoga is great, all of that. But a mistake that a lot of people make is they don't shower right away. If you don't rinse off or towel off at least really well right away, you just reabsorb the toxins back in. So that's another really great
Wow.
tool. And the last thing that I love is castor oil packs, like just, kind of high level. Everyone in the family can use them. I even have like a tiny little one for my son and he's like 20 months old and it's so cute when he loves putting on his castor oil pack. And castor oil packs are like a really great way to stimulate liver function. If you're wearing them over the liver, you can wear them over your abdomen to help those bowel movements go a little bit more regularly. So when it comes to detox, like really just focusing on the systems in your body that detox well. Like sometimes it's as simple as starting your day with like a big cup of lemon water and salt. And depending on an individual person, like we might end up, bringing in supplements and herbs and things to support the body further along. But for your average person, like just start with that and see how it feels.
Yeah, I love how tangible and actionable these tips are and easy. I mean, I've never heard of castor oil packs, but I'm sure if you Amazon that, you can prime it to your house by tomorrow.
Yeah. And this is not like I don't make any money off of recommending the Queen of Thrones brand. I just think that they're an amazing company, but they've created these castor oil packs that are mess free. Like, and you can wear them overnight. You can wear them while you sleep. That's the one I have for my son. It's like, I'm not worried about him messing up the couch. Whereas traditional castor oil packs, you can totally do them this way. You can like just Google like how to make your own castor oil pack. They're awesome, but they're a little bit messier and like just a little bit harder to do. So if you're like looking for ease and convenience, definitely go with the Queen of Thrones brand.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So I think I obviously have catching the gist of less toxins, more energy, but any other benefits of the detox really?
Yes. Yes, 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 yes. I mean, the first one is happier hormones. One of the biggest issues with toxins is a lot of them are xenoestrogens, which basically translates to fake estrogens and really can influence the way that our bodies perform day to day. I mean, when it comes to, again, talking about the way that we feel when we're talking to our partner, right? Like, are we feeling snappy and super hormonal? Are we having bad PMS? Are we feeling like our sex drive is where we want it to be? All of those things really influence the way that we feel day to day. And having those toxins in our body, in our homes, in our environments can really influence the way that our hormones perform as adults. It also influences the way that our children develop hormonally. So really optimize hormone function when we're really, clear, or it's impossible to be completely, avoidant of them in today's world. But when we're really being intentional about our products, is the first thing. And then the other one is better immunity. Like, if you think about your toxic load like a bucket, there's like only so much that the bucket can fill. Right. I almost actually sometimes will think about it from the perspective of like if a school is having a fundraiser, and they have the little like thermometer looking thing that they're like filling in,
Yes.
as they raise money. So like imagine, okay, we have like toxins that you're getting when you're playing at the park and you're running around on the glyphosate. We have toxins that are coming in from our water if it's not filtered. When we have, from our personal care products, we're just kind of like continuing to fill it up. And at some point it's like full, it shatters, the bucket overflows. We can't do any more. And that's where we really start to see things functioning not properly. Now, if that bucket has plenty of holes in it and ways to come out, we have more capacity for our body to do the functions that it doesn't necessarily consider like 100% necessary for daily life, right? But are really important for us to feel good. And so when we have that, I mean, that translates to more energy, but it also translates to like better immunity, not getting sick all the time, right? Even when you have kids that are bringing home all these kinds of germs, being able to recover so much more easily, which I know makes such a big difference for us as parents when we're also trying to work and we're also trying to manage, life. That kind of sickness coming through the house multiple times every season really can take you out. So that's a huge benefit, is like better immunity all around, and something I see with my clients a lot, which is really exciting.
Love it. Yeah. Yeah. So good, Stephanie. So many good tips, so many good action items. So appreciate you being here. I wish we could talk more about it, but we are ready to hit the lightning round now, where we
Okay.
are just going to ask you some random fun questions just to get to know you a little bit more personally. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. What is one app you cannot live without?
Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. Probably my D Minder app, which helps me realize how much vitamin D I'm getting from the sun every day.
So good. I never heard of that. Okay. Yeah. Amazing. What book are you reading right now?
I'm a little embarrassed to say I'm reading like the Maple Hill series, which is like college romance book, but it's like light and fun and I'm into it.
No, no shame. Love it. Love it. What is like your go-to get it done song?
Probably something by Beyonce.
Yes. Queen. Yes. And this is a good one for you. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be? Calories don't count, but I don't think you count calories anyway, but maybe nutrition does.
Yeah. It would be milk. Like I love milk, and you can make cheese from it. So like that would give me like multiple foods, I guess. But yeah, raw milk.
Amazing. All right. Well, good. Well, thank you so much for being here. Before we wrap up, where can people find you? We will pop the link to that amazing gift in our show notes that you mentioned, but where can they find you if they want to connect with you after the show?
Yeah. Well, one, I would really like love if you want to send me a message. Like I read all of my own Instagram messages, and it means so much to me to connect with other moms around the world. So feel free to send me a message and say the thing that most surprised you, or if you want some of my slow cooker recipes or anything like that. Like I'd love to connect. And so yeah, come say hi on Instagram. It's Stefanie Adler Wellness. Stephanie is with an F. Stefanie Adler, Adler, wellness. And that's probably the best place to find me. And then also, if you are interested in more of the things that we talked about today and going a little bit deeper on them, my podcast, The Wisdom of the Womb, is really where I dive deep into a lot of these subjects. So definitely come say what's up there too.
Great. Well, Stefanie, thank you so much for sharing all of this, for being a guest, for taking the time. We so appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Marissa. It was a pleasure being here.